Welcome, I'm Stephanie Haynes. I am the Arts Education and Accessibility Program Manager at the Indiana Arts Commission. I've been working on Poetry Out Loud for 3 years, but this is the first year where I am leading it in the state of Indiana. So it's my first year and everything's changing and everyone's new. So we're all going through it together. But luckily I have been involved for a few years and I know a lot of the basics. The basics, I'll start with introducing Lauren Miller. She's with the National Endowment for the Arts, the NEA, which spearheads this program. And I thought that she might introduce herself, introduce the NEA, and also the partner organization that partners on Poetry Out Loud. Hi, Lauren.
Sure. Thanks so much, Stephanie. And I'm so glad to be here. And thanks for you all for being here today. I'm Lauren Miller. I am the Poetry Out Loud Program Manager at the National Endowment for the Arts. I've been in this position for about 3 years and working on POL in general for about 6 years and been at the NEA for 6 years. I'm sure many of you know the NEA is an independent federal arts agency that supports art making typically through grants, but we also have several national initiatives, including Poetry Out Loud, that we work on. And we partner on this project with the Poetry Foundation, which is an independent literary organization. And they've been our partner on this since the beginning, since 2005, when Poetry Out Loud started, and have been a great partner on this project for us. And manages our anthology and contributes to monetary prizes, and has been a great support and partner in this project. So we're heading into our 16th year, and it's going to be an interesting 16th year, an atypical one. So, but we're looking forward and to continuing this program. Yeah. Anything else, Stephanie?
Sorry, I'm trying to join on my phone so that the audio's. Is it working?
Yeah, I can.
All right, I give up. Okay, sorry. I was trying to avoid technical issues and I created a technical issue. So thank you so much, Lauren. Poetry Out Loud is in every state and in all the territories of the United States, including Guam and maybe the San Mariana Islands.
Actually, not them, but we're getting there. We're getting close. But yeah, okay. DC, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands have been partaking in Poetry Out Loud for a long time. But this is the first year Guam and American Samoa are on board.
American Samoa. Okay, great.
Yeah, so we have 55 altogether.
Awesome.
And they all participate.
Yeah. Well, at its core, Poetry Out Loud is about helping young people learn a love of poetry through understanding poetry. And the way that the program helps students understand poetry is through recitation. It's through memorizing a poem by a professional poet that's in the anthology, and then reciting it on stage, focused on the criteria that Poetry Out Loud has set out. And by reciting it and embodying the tone and the meaning of the poem, start to really understand the poem and comprehend how poetry can communicate with an audience. So that is the core of what Poetry Out Loud is about. And I mentioned the anthology. So there is an anthology that the National Endowment for the Arts puts together with the Poetry Foundation, and it's got how many poems in it? Thousands of poems?
Yeah, over 1,100. So there's quite a few, and our website, which is the new version, is just a couple years old. Hopefully it's better, useful tool to finding those poems, and also we have an app that can be downloaded to help search for poems that way too.
Yeah, and so the anthology is the way that students will find poems that are appropriate for this competition. They'll select poems from the anthology to memorize and recite. And those are the only poems that are allowed in this competition. But like Lauren said, there's a lot to choose from, and there is a very good variety. There are poems that are older, public domain, older poems, and there are very contemporary poems. Like I know our own Hoosier poet, our former state laureate, Adrian Matika, had a poem in the anthology. I think it was removed when he was a national judge, but previously he did. So contemporary poets are also in there. The way the competition works is there's 3 levels. There's the local level, which is a school, or this year perhaps a nonprofit organization can host a local competition with their own group of young people. And then the winner from each local competition, so one winner from each school, or one winner from your local host competition, will move on to the state finals. And I will mention again, I think I didn't mention this yet, the age is only 9th through 12th grade. There's a few little caveats for 8th graders who maybe attend a 9th grade center and some other things, but generally high school age and what we describe that as is 9th through 12th graders. So at the local level, there's a little bit of flexibility in that the students can memorize and recite 1 poem or 2 poems or 3 poems as part of the competition. At the state level, they have to memorize and recite, or memorize 3 poems for recitation, because we have 3 rounds. Am I coming through okay?
You're frozen on my screen.
Yeah, mine too, but I could hear you just now though. Oh,
okay.
I think you're back.
The last thing I heard you say was that for the state round, or for the state, you had to memorize because there were 3 rounds. Oops.
Yeah, I can jump in for that. But yes, at the state and national level, all students must memorize 3 poems. And there's a couple criteria for those. One must be pre-20th century. And there's a filter on our website and our app where you can filter out and just look for pre-20th century poems. And one other poem must also be 25 lines or fewer. And again, we have a filter where you can just look at those poems. And also a poem can fulfill both of those criteria at once. So it could be a 25 lines or fewer poem that's also pre-20th century. And that's totally fine. And then the other 2 poems can be whatever the student wants that's in the anthology. But yeah, like Stephanie said, it's a little bit more flexible. For the local level, you can choose to designate 1 to 2, but those are just the consistent criteria for the state and national level.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you for co-hosting, Lauren.
No problem.
Can you hear me okay now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. The phone is better because then if my computer screen goes out, I can still hear what's going on my phone. So thank you. Yeah, the local competition, I am going to, let's see. Oh, I wanted to ask Lauren next to speak a little bit about the national competition, the prizes that we usually have, kind of what it normally will look like and historically, and then what it's going to look like maybe a little bit this year.
Sure. So historically, the national finals have been take place in DC, and we fly everyone out here, and everyone is here for 3 days. And we have semifinals competitions. We have 3 different semifinal rounds with about 17 or 18 states of territory compete in each semifinal. Out of those semifinals, the top 3 move on to the national finals, which would take place the next day in a traditional year. And then those top 9 would recite their poems. Again, the same poems. The poems don't change from semifinals to national finals. But different set of judges for the finals to the from the semis to the national finals. And then we announce our winner in second and third place. They're at the national level, there's $50,000 in monetary prizes. The national champ, and these monetary prizes are going to stay the same this year, even though it'll be held virtually. The national champ will receive $20,000. Second place is $10,000. And then third place is $5,000. Fourth through ninth place is $1,000. And this is all on our website, so you can find this information there too. And then all of those schools will also receive a $500 stipend for the purchase of poetry materials for their school or organization. And then also at each semifinal, there's a fourth place honorable mention also named, and they receive a $1,000 prize as well. So yeah, so for the competition, that's basically what happens. In a typical year, for this year, we will be having a video submission-based contest, which means students will be recording themselves ahead of time, but still reciting the 3 poems, still the same poem criteria. And that will all remain the same. We're still going to have 3 semifinals and we always stream them on our website, arts.gov, and we will do the same. And for the national finals too, the only difference will be probably be a little bit more time between the semifinals and national finals, since we'll need to record the host and since we know the students. Yeah, it'll be a little bit different, and we always have ancillary activities. So we hope to have a meet and greet. We always have a guest poet to talk to the students and interact with the students at the national finals. We still hope to do that, but just via a virtual platform this year. But yeah, that's where we are right now.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's not new as far as virtual submissions. Only in the poetry ourselves has done video submissions in the past. So something you've dipped your toe in, but now you're gonna full on do video submissions.
Yeah, I know, it's a new time. Some of our states who couldn't conduct their state finals in a traditional format this year did video submission finals. So we've learned a lot from them. Also, our Canadian counterpoint, our sister program, Poetry and Voice, which is very similar to Poetry Out Loud, they've always had a video component, so we've learned a lot from them too. But yeah, and Poetry Ourselves is our optional competition for the state champions to submit original work of poetry, either written or spoken. And our guest poet judges that, and our guest poets in the past have been Naomi Shiamnai, Carmen Jimenez Smith, Jamal May, others. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. And we talked about this briefly. The only difference between the local and the state and national is the poem number, correct? The number of poems.
Yes, and if you're hosting a local competition, especially like just one, you do not have to have the criteria that it has to be a pre-20th or it has to be 25 lines or fewer. That's up to you if you want to have those at the lower level, but that will for sure be required at the state or national level. So I know a lot of people who conduct lower level contests just to prep their students may require that, but it's up to you.
Right. Great, thank you, Lauren. So the new things this year, we're all kind of new, it seems like, but the new things this year are having nonprofit partners and having virtual competitions. The state level competition will also be virtual, similarly video submission based. And we encourage the local competitions to also be virtual, just out of safety. If you aren't able to meet in close proximity with your students, you are welcome to do all of your sessions, all your training and coaching sessions, all your work with the young people through virtual classes, and to hold your virtual competition also through virtual. And we're going to talk about what that could look like a little bit later, because there's a very thorough document that the NEA has put together about different options for virtual competitions. I want to go into now kind of the role of the local host. If you're thinking about hosting the program, I split it up in explaining it as in kind of two roles. The first role is the coaching role. So you're helping the students choose the right poems for them. You're helping them understand what the poem's about and helping them kind of dissect it down to really get the meaning and tone, and then helping them memorize it and get the right stage presence to recite it. So that's all kind of the long coaching process. You may go through a few weeks of different activity lessons that you put together, or the NEA has really helpful lessons as well that will kind of help you develop those skills in the students. So you can follow theirs or you can do your own, but you'll go through a few weeks of helping them develop those skills, helping them memorize, and then you're also going to be hosting a competition. So that's kind of a whole nother little skill set that you'll need to gather some judges and prepare the judges with the criteria that the NEA provides and the score sheets, and running a competition so that the recitations can be scored and you can find your winner through that scoring system. So those are the two roles. And I'm going to jump through to the judging criteria. Here I am. So there's several categories for the judging criteria that we want to focus our students' learning on to be successful in the competition. There's physical presence. That has to do with how they're on stage and how they present to the judges and the audience. Voice and articulation. Again, that's a stage presence kind of category. Dramatic appropriateness. That has to do with not over dramatizing the poem. They're not acting as a character in the poem. They are just reciting the poem and trying to convey the tone and meaning. That has to do with gesturing and movement on the stage and things like that. Evidence of understanding, that is making sure the student understands what the poem's about. If it's a serious poem, they're not, using their intonation is really light and airy. If it's a serious poem, they shouldn't do that. They should understand the meaning is serious, and then the way they convey their words conveys that meaning. And overall performance. Obviously, all of this stuff is available on our website as well. There's a separate judge that is listening just for accuracy. So if a word is missing or a word is changed from the poem, the accuracy judge sees the text straight from the anthology and goes word by word to make sure it's also accurate in the recitation. Let me pause there and see if anyone has questions, or if Lauren, if you want to add anything that I missed.
Yeah, no, you did a great job, Stephanie. Yeah, the only thing I'll add is overall performance is a little bit weighted a little bit more than the other categories. It's kind of a catch-all category. Judges may want to consider, did the student choose the same type of tone of poem for each one, or did they mix it up? And there might be something in that category or in a student's recitation where you can't really pinpoint in a certain other criterion, but there's something that really moved you about the performance, and you can consider that in that category. So that one is weighted just a little bit more, but that's all. Yeah.
How many judges are good for a local site?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Typically, it probably would depend on how many students might affect that too. I know what we say for a traditional school setting, for a classroom, one teacher is fine plus an accuracy judge. And for a school-based contest, you'd want like 2 or 3 judges. So I would say 2 or 3 plus an accuracy judge is a good good amount.
Yeah, this is a different document I switched to. This is the teacher tool guide, or teacher guide or toolkit, some variation of those words. This is the teacher guide, which gives you a really detailed, how many pages is this? It's a lot of pages that is all about how to run your competition. They've put in every detail you could want to know about how many judges. Here's 3 to 5, it says, plus 1 accuracy judge. There's advice on how to select your judges who would be appropriate and how to prepare those judges for the competition. We also have a prompter at the state finals. I mean, that might be the host of the local competition, could serve as a prompter, but someone who can sit there and read along with the poems in case a student gets stuck in their recitation and needs an extra word. There is some points deducted when a student needs a prompt, but that's an important role we also have. Yeah, any other questions? The next on my list is to talk more about the virtual competitions. The NEA, looking at various programs across the country, has come up with 3 approaches for the virtual competitions. The first one is the video submission, like Lauren mentioned, and that's also what we'll be doing at our Indiana State Finals. Students kind of in their own space, on their own time, record themselves reciting, and there's some really good tips also here about how to frame their head really nicely and make sure the sound quality is good. But they'll be recording themselves with a cell phone, a laptop, whatever that takes, and then uploading it into our online survey platform so that they can submit that way. So that's a video submission contest. You can also do kind of a Zoom-based competition. You could do it one-on-one where the student joins you on Zoom, you record, and they recite it live to you as the host, and then but it's being recorded so that you can also send the recording to the judges. So in that way, it's live and that they only get one chance to record it with you on Zoom. But it's also just recorded and then the judges can judge it on their own time. You could also try and go full live competition on Zoom. We are not doing that because we know that technical issues, obviously, even just on this call, I've had technical issues. So a live Zoom competition is risky, but can be high reward. It's a lot like what our in-person competition would be. In a normal year, the state final happens at the Indiana State Library in their beautiful history room. We've got a stage, the judges are off to the side, and the students walk up on stage and they're in front of the microphone and they're nervous and you can see it all. And the judges are there live watching the students recite. And the judges kind of get that extra sense that you don't get on a recording. So that is a benefit of a live performance, but obviously the risk is the technical issues of Zoom. And so with all that, the video submission is where we're going to eliminate the most technical issues. We know that students can have multiple tries to record their submission and and that's okay. We're dealing with that this year, and that's the same with Lauren at the national competition. We trust the students and we just want them to succeed. We want them to do well. So it's okay if they need to record it a couple times before they get it just right to submit. All right, so those are the virtual competition. And this document's also available on our website and probably on the NEA's website as well, or the Poetry Out Loud website. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about this. The state finals will have video recordings. So once you have your local winner, you'll have them record 3 poems, either use one they've used before or record 3 new poems to submit to the state finals. You'll upload it. So far, we've developed a Survey Gizmo survey that allows them to upload files. And so they'll upload 3. Normally, we go through 2 rounds. Every student participates in the first 2 rounds, and then the third and final round is just the top half of the group, usually about 10 people for our state finals. So about 10 people actually do the third round, but they need to submit 3 poems no matter what, we won't know if they make it to the finals or not. So everyone submits 3. And after they submit, we're going to let the judges, we're going to actually do a live judging where the judges all watch together the recordings, but that will be closed to the public. And then the judges will score, and about a week later, then we hope we'll set the date soon. We don't have a date yet. We'll have our award ceremony where we'll announce the winners, and that'll be in March. And it'll be kind of like a 60 to 90 minute celebration. We want to celebrate these kids. We want to really lift them up, show snippets of recitations, have guest speakers. That's the one benefit of Zoom. One of the benefits of Zoom too, we can invite in some really great guest speakers to just jump on. They don't have to show up at the State Library on a Saturday morning. So that is what the state finals will look like. Normally, we also have like physical awards for the kids. I don't know exactly how we're going to do that this year. We might mail something or we might not, but we'll see. That's actually a really nice piece of it too. Every participant of the state finals walks away with a nice little trophy. So now I would like to ask Lauren to share about the resources, all the resources that the NEA provides around this program. There is so many. I always tell our marketing people, don't make anything new. The NEA has invented everything. It is on their YouTube. It is on their website. So I've pulled up the website. Am I still sharing?
Yeah, no, that's great. No, thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, no, our Poetry Out Loud website has a lot of resources, like Stephanie mentioned, not only the anthology, but kind of like the very main basic components of what Stephanie mentioned. Yes, and here's the anthology. You can browse by 25 lines or fewer. You can also filter by subject. That's another possibility. And then, yeah, we have a random poem button if sometimes students just want to, sometimes students successfully find their poems that way. We also have under Browse Collections, we have some collections by theme that you can look at too. And then also a poetic forms and terms page to sort of get into the nitty gritty of poetry, alliteration, allusion, and some examples of poems in our anthology for those terms. Yep, and random poem. Other resources, yeah, we have a bunch of lesson plans online that you are free to look at and use when teaching poetry in general, and talking about, allusions and intonation and all that stuff Stephanie was mentioning when we were going over the evaluation criteria. And then also on the organizing a contest page, there's a lot of resources on this page. This includes that virtual contest document that Stephanie was showing earlier, and that includes some filming tips also for students for how to record a recitation. Yeah, there's promotional and social media ideas. There's also, you can find our teacher's guide under teachers and organizers. Yep, this talks through how to introduce a poem. Yeah, just one little basic I don't think we've gone over. Before every recitation, the student's supposed to say the title of the poem and the poem's author. And if there's a translator of the poem, the translator. And no other additional commentary really. It's just supposed to introduce the poem that way and then go into their recitation. And then you can see a bunch of other contest resources, including the judge's guide. The judge's guide and the teacher's guide really have a lot of information that that Stephanie went over today that you can reference. Also a sample tally sheet, it's an Excel file where you can just enter all the scores in, and you can easily tally the scores to find out the winner, second place, third place. We also developed this year some digital, another Excel file where judges can enter their scores pretty simply, so you can collect those in an easy fashion. Rather than having a bunch of PDFs, they could just enter all the scores for all the students in one file and collect them that way. So that's there. We also have accessibility resources. We've had ASL students, deaf and blind students participate in Poetry Out Loud. We have a Braille anthology. We have resources regarding that too. And then our YouTube page has a bunch of other resources. You can find a bunch of videos from previous national finals from there, and also videos. We invited all state winners and state competitors from states that didn't hold a state contest this year to submit videos to us that we could share. And there's some really great examples of students recording from home and reciting a poem. So there's a ton of examples that we received from this year from students, and also from previous years' national finals that can give an idea of kind of the typical pacing and structure of a contest. We also have a series that's called POL Tips and Examples, Tips and Tricks. And basically what the series goes over is basically do's and don'ts of recitation. Make sure you have great articulation, but yeah, don't overdo it. Not tons of gestures that are going crazy. So those examples could be helpful for teachers or people leading the program or students to watch. So there's a lot of video content that you can scroll through on our Poetry Out Loud YouTube page. We're also just in the process of developing some POL workshops that will be a video, 3 videos that we hope to share pretty soon. Reggie Kabiko, who's a local poet to the DC area, and he's been a previous POL judge, is leading some workshops with students socially distanced in this DMV area, going over the Poetry Out Loud process and reciting poems with the students. So we hope that resource will be available in the next couple weeks here. But yeah, there's a lot of material to go through, but we hope it's not overwhelming, but helpful when you're considering this process.
It is overwhelming. There's so much stuff, but just ask me and I'll say, oh yeah, I can give you the exact link straight to what you're asking for. So I spent some time on the website finding my own way, so I'm happy to help. Thank you for having all those resources prepared for us, Lauren. That's great.
Sure.
And now we're at the Q&A portion of the call. Any questions? And I have a question for you. What kind of technical or equipment kinds of limitations do you think your students might have for hosting a virtual competition if you might do that? Do your students have phones and laptops or not?
Well, I'm from the Indiana Writers Center, and as close as I could come to that would be that we do a summer program, and we might, be working with some of those kids for this, and a fair number of those kids do not have computers, or they might have phones. I'm not sure, but there would be some limits to that. That seems to be true across the board with all of this stuff that's happening now. Some kids just don't have access, so we'd have to work with that. What I imagine, you can maybe give me an idea of if I'm kind of in the right ballpark or whatever with this, is that, one of the things we might do is actually provide a class for kids who want to participate. And this would be great for kids in schools where, you know, if their schools weren't doing it. So we could, and we have great access to wonderful poets in the Indianapolis area. So that would work well. And you know, if you're talking about providing any kind of funding, that would be one thing that would be great for us, because then we'd be able to hire the right person, you know, a really good person to teach that class, which is how we work anyway. We learn, we're a nonprofit organization with classes and programs about writing. Mostly they're adult, but we do work with kids in our summer program, and we could certainly work with them on this. So does that make sense?
Yes, that does. It does make sense. You would set up a class that would start kind of maybe, you know, 8 weeks, 6 weeks out from what the deadline is for turning in the competition information. Which
What is the deadline?
So I think the deadline, let's see, I had the sign up deadline in January, and then the competition deadline is in mid-February.
Okay.
I think. And then, then they need to submit by the, and towards the end of February, so that we can judge it and have it ready in March.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions or any thoughts about virtual learning limitations?
Well, there are. As we found this summer, we had to switch our curriculum, I mean, everything, to virtual, and you know, we learned some things, and we're able to, you know, put kids in smaller groups, and find, you know, experiment with ways of engaging in, you know, you just can't do that the same way you do in a classroom. But it worked.
Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording right now.